would like to apply to mine just for historical value.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, look what I learned. I'll put this in there, you know, whether it works or not. That's kind of cool. I learned this. So
yeah. It's
apply
this long tradition, you know, forgotten arts.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
we do today without question. Yeah.
So the purpose of the rags that are tied to the...
Keep the kids.
So this is kind of...
But you know, that's funny because I'm from the north.
Yeah.
And we would put that on our fences to scare away the deer.
Yeah.
Because the movement would freak them out. Because otherwise they're almost blind. You know, it's a small strand of wire if you've got a wire fence or even a barbed wire fence.
It makes sense.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I really haven't noticed deer since we have put that up. We only put that up maybe back in February, you know. And we used to get the deer out here and see all the footprints in the garden. Not too much number. But yeah, you know, I mean, a lot of these things we do today without question have these hidden histories, you know. So, yeah. Cool. Any questions for me about gardening or anything like that?
So do you eat the vegetables?
So we try and use everything that we grow. Again, we process the cotton into fabric. We make dye out of the flowers and out of the herbs and all that. We made soap about 2 weeks ago, right, with the lard, and made rosemary soap. As for the food, we're trying to get all the supplies so that we can start making some of the recipes. Right now, we use them for demonstrative purposes, so we get seed for the next year and just kind of show people. But the plan is to be able to break out a fire and start making this food.
Heck yeah.
What would the size of the garden have been during the height?
Yeah, so we know back then there wouldn't have been anything here. There was a carriage house here in the 1880s, so we're not all that concerned. So we were able to plant the garden here. Back then, behind the kitchen house, where that azalea bushes and all that, there was a kitchen garden, about a 1/4 acre. Down at the cabins, every 2 enslaved cabins were able to get a 1/4 acre. So you can see here, 4 white posts. You got 1 down by the kitchen house we're at, number 2 is right here by the palm, 3 is back by the live oak, and 4 is kind of down by the trees down there. So that's a 1/4 acre. Every 2 cabins again got that to provide for themselves. So 8 acres in front of the cabins would have been cleared and planted for food for the enslaved. Again, all economical by having the enslaved people grow their own food that reduces the rations that the owner has to buy, right? And that takes up enslaved time. But again, through food, we see these forms of resistance. We see the recreation of West African recipes like jambalaya and gumbo, you know. So it's always kind of this give and take here. But back then, yeah, you would have been, that would have been your space to grow everything for yourself.
And what did you call red beans and rice? Hoppin' John's?
Hoppin' John.
All right.
Yep.
I remember that one.
And 2, I should say, there was also a chicken coop down at the cabins as well. So they would have had chicken. Fishing was pretty common here too. A lot of fish we see, and oysters. And deer. And tortoise. You know, they're eating the tortoises. Easy. Protein doesn't run too fast. But yeah.
They can run fast if they want to.
If they want to.
Yes.
They can book it, yeah.
Take off at a clip.
Yeah.
For the tortoises.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And if you guys want to walk throughout the garden, feel free to. We will have the house open here in just a few minutes. If you guys want to tour the house too, I can take you through that. But yeah, aside from that,
yeah, that'd be phenomenal. What was the name of this cotton again?
Sea Island cotton.
Sea Island cotton.
So different than your upland cotton that grows today. It's actually illegal to grow Sea Island cotton, so we have to get a permit every single year.
Wow.
From the state to grow.
Really?
And you said this is the best stuff too?
Best cotton in the world. Yeah, so the reason you can't grow Sea Island cotton no more is because the boll on it is like paper thin. And you compare it to the upland cotton. Upland cotton boll, that shell around the cotton is about a 1/4 inch. So by having this paper thin boll, it's much easier for that boll weevil to eat through, reproduce, and start attacking other crops. So after really the Dust Bowl, Congress crack down on Sea Island cotton production.
Oh,
That's too bad. You said if it's the best stuff.
Yes, I know. James Bond wore, you know, in the novels, he always wore the Sea Island cotton shirts. So still in the Caribbean today, they do grow Sea
Oh,
Island
wow.
cotton, and it's even more of a luxury today than what it was back
yeah,
then.
because there's Egyptian cotton.
So the water you're
Yeah,
going to
so
put
you
in
get the
there is going to
Egyptian.
be
You
from
got
the
that
river.
in,
Yep.
that's really the very
Mhm.
popular one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Egyptian cotton with a
And we
high
have
thread count.
examples of both upland and Sea Island in the visitor center too, so you can really see the difference in fiber lengths.
Oh,
The
wow.
feeling, you know,
Wow.
it's Sea Island cotton's like silk. You know.
That's amazing.
So we're gonna.
How many acres of that would they have had up here?
So back then.
Was that the main cash crop?
Yeah, that was the main crash crop. So back then the plantation was the entire island. So 1,000 acres.
Wow.
About 600 of the 600 acres was cleared and planted for Sea Island cotton specifically. About another 150, 200 acres, so essentially your marshy areas would have been your sugar cane. So actually behind the barn we have a sugar mill that we found. We're going to be clearing that area out, talking about that. The rest of the island would have been other buildings, right? Roadways, access points to get to the fields, wharfs, sawmill, you know, that we know of.
So what would the closest town have been to here?
Fernandina. Jacksonville back then was nothing. It was just
It was
couple
Galford.
people.
Yeah,
Galford, yeah. So Fernandina would have been the main town. Always had been relatively big town, big port city, so it had access to goods up there.
So in the day, by horse, how long of a trip would that have been?
You can't do
They
it by
went by
horse.
boat.
You have
That's
to
why
do
the
it by
house was
boat.
facing the White
Oh.
River.
Oh, yeah, that's
That
right.
was everybody's front
You have to
yard
do it
was
by boat.
Oh.
at the river because everyone went by boat.
Yeah, there's no road access to the island until the 1930s.
Wow,
Really?
okay.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder where when they
Huh.
passed away.
Hector
where
Drive.
They were
So I guess there
buried,
wouldn't have been any horses going up and down that road.
I think that's what he
No.
said they were still looking for, or they know where it is. It's just not available.
Well, you know, that just, we
Listen
tend to
for my
forget now
voice.
that, you know, a lot of our nation's first highways were rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they used to go do the indigo here too, right?
Yep. So that would have been a little bit before this plantation,
Oh.
before this house was built. This would have been the British period in Florida. Nobody wanted to move to Florida. There's nothing here, right? Just marshy
Darn hot.
mosquitoes. Yep. So they subsidized indigo plantations. And, that was grown here for about 20 years.
Huh.
So that's why we do grow it and process it today.
Wow.
Yep.
What Indians were here originally before?
Timaquans.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, the Timaquans. Yeah, so 3 feet beneath our feet right now, we could still see evidence of them. I've been digging in the garden here. We cleared it, right? So we archaeologically cleared it. We determined that there's nothing of archaeological value that needs to be really preserved and interpreted. Again, just a carriage house that would have been here 1880s. But I still find shells, oyster shells, 3 feet down, and they're beautiful shells. And these would have been, used by Timaquan as jewelry, as tools, all of that. So we still find it today. I just found right where that post is, about 3 feet down. This real nice little. I can't think of it. The swirly shells, the conch shells.
Conch.
Yep, little tiny one.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that under the?
Wow.
Oh, these guys right here?
Yeah.
Marigolds. So
Yeah,
they're plant
I
marigolds, so-
realized
okay.
they were marigolds by the leaves.
Yeah, so marigolds too, also really good for deer. Then we get the nasturtiums that we're planting on the edge of the garden too. Nasturtiums help keep out nematodes, which is another
By
issue.
the way,
that we
I
have.
planted nasturtium seeds 4 months ago in a pot.
Yeah.
And I did not realize they're so prolific. They're still growing and
Yeah.
growing, and
They'll
I
keep
don't
going.
ever remember that.
Well, I need
Yeah.
to plant those in my yard then.
And it's blossoming every so often.
Yeah, we've had a few. I usually eat the flowers, but we had to replant and lay irrigation.
What are those little flowers that you have against the wall that you have the?
That one right here?
Yeah, those little tiny multicolored ones.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because there's some sort of a weed, aren't
They
they?
had some sort of a weed, yeah. Maintenance usually just clear cuts.
But
them
when you
before.
talked about nasturtium, it's amazing. My plant is this big,
Mm-hmm.
just seeds that I planted in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to kill sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, it gives me color on my deck.
True.
So I thought you were talking about this plant here in that frame.
I'm a
So
little
that one
sad.
is, Cherokee Rose, and the bush next to it, that azalea bush. Both of those were planted about 1930.
Oh wow.
So for the hotel, you know, that was here on Island.